Hello friends, we are starting right next to my truck. We just pulled over on the side of the road. That's the North Coast Road you just saw there, and this is the North Coast. There's a little cove here, and just to show you, you might just pull over to the side of the road, and next thing you see is a beautiful part of Trinidad. This area is Blanchisseuse. I can't tell you the exact spot, but I will pan just now to show you the road. So if ever you're in the area and you want to stop by and see this, you can. So there's a path down to the water there, but it's rough. I don't recommend swimming anywhere around here. And there's also another path to the rock, all of which I'm going to show you. Now this video is done in 1080p. It's one of my older videos that I did with an older GoPro camera, and so it's not as well stabilized, it's not as high resolution as the 4K and 5.3K videos that I do. Nevertheless, you will get the gist of what I'm showing you, and that's the road that's on. That was the North Coast Road. If I stop a bit here and there and pause, it's because I'm actually showing my children how to make it on their first hike. I have special needs children, so things like this is a big deal for them, and they are extra cautious and careful with the world around them, so I have to go slow. So I'm not going to play all those natural songs for you, hearing me talking to my children and helping them. So I'm just going to talk to you for a bit, but you can have a look. So to our surprise, there was an actual trail here, and it's a short one, and it was just good enough that we said, you know what, let's go on this, and so you guys can get the idea of what it's like to hike. One of the nice things about the green of Trinidad is it's so plentiful, but there's always something that could probably feed you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone on trails and tracks like this, and there's a breadfruit tree, there's a coconut tree, there's a mango tree. I mean, you could be lost in the forest but also find stuff to eat. However, whenever you see a trail like this, you know it's pretty traversed. So others have come here before, and we will see evidence of that later. But isn't that coast beautiful? I mean, I just love this aspect of Trinidad to the max. I mean, it's really a tropical paradise. The different colors of the ocean, hearing the ocean waves hit against the rocks. I mean, this is the thing that you see on TV, but then you're actually living here. But because you have your day-to-day life, go to work, go to school, whatever, you don't really take the time to appreciate that. But really, you should. And if you can't do it by yourself, not necessarily as a lime, and I know people tend to go to the beach or to nature or whatever when they're with other people, and although that's fine, the problem with that is that you don't actually get to enjoy the nature as much as if you went on your own. Now you may say that's kind of dangerous. I'm not asking you to pick a dangerous spot, but if you can go on your own, it will help you to really take in what you are seeing around you, your environment. Be one with nature. Look at all the plants. Some of these plants here, sometimes you would see them, and they are actually what you'd call exotic plants. People will actually take them off and sell them for money. Anyway, so we're continuing on the path, and like I said, I'm with my children, so we're going slow. And as we're going slow, we'll investigate some of the flowers and have a look around. One thing with this particular camera I use, I noticed it doesn't filter light as well, so you may see hues as the sun hits the lens. The hue changes a bit, and then it'll go back when shade is restored. I don't have any CLR lens on it or anything like that, so it's raw. And as you're walking, it's always good to look around, make sure you know where you're resting your foot. Sometimes there are leaves on the path, and that might look like solid ground, but it's not. And also look to your left and your right. For instance, look at this ledge on your left. See where the path is? And you see where that tree is? That tree is actually right on a cliff. And I'm going to bend the camera down so you can see the drop. Just imagine one little wrong step and that's where you'll be going. And so I'm keeping my children there all the way to the other side, telling them to keep back. So I stand here to make sure they go around me on the other side, while giving you a bit of the coast. And you see where that tree was chopped? That gives you evidence that, hey, people do come here. So we continue again slowly. And for me, the speed I'm going here at, which is not normal, the normal speed that I would go at, but this speed does allow you to take in everything, because it'd be so easy to just keep going and passing everything and not really taking in things as you should. Sometimes you may see snakes and whatnot, but in this case we don't see snakes, we see coconut shells, the husks, which means somebody came to this area and used it to get coconuts, probably on a regular basis, maybe drink and just leave the husk there. So I didn't see any sign to this area, so I don't know if this is particularly someone's area. It doesn't look like it, but I guess people from the area use it. And it could be that they use it to fish, because closer to the end there, there's a big rock, and I could well see people doing fishing there. Now I don't eat fish, so it's not something that I do, nor would I purport to support. In case you don't know, I am vegan, which means I don't harm any animals. Now I had paused there a bit because sometimes there are little drops in these paths that you can't see too well, and in those drops you find that, oh, it just looks like a foot or two, but for a child it's a big deal, especially with children with special needs. So we have to go slow, like I said, and I'm trying to hold them and the camera at the same time, so it's a bit of a chore, a task, a challenge, and that's why some of the footage comes out a bit shaky at times. But you're getting an idea. So this is the point where we reach to the rock, and what do we meet? Oh my goodness, like all my other videos, trash. I mean, you have to come all the way out here and still see trash? Whomever was here, couldn't you have taken it with you? Anyway, besides that, look at the ocean. You see the ocean? I don't know if you can tell, but those waves are coming with gusto, with power. It's not a place that you would want to play around or fall down, because you would likely be hit against the rocks. So I went there and I came back down because again I have to help my kids. But oh gosh, man, you take all the time to come to this nature, special piece of nature, and still see plastics, juicy, bags. Couldn't you have taken that with you, man? Or maybe you thought nobody would notice. Well, you know, everyone that watches this video will notice it. It just upsets me sometimes to see this. How people don't care for our surroundings. Look at that flower, isn't that interesting? Who can tell me what that is? You just gotta love this. The sea breeze, the salt from the sea hitting your face. Now you see where you can actually go down there. You can't tell depth very well on a camera recording, but that's a big drop there. And while you could challenge yourself and go down there, if you want to put yourself at risk, then you could do it. If you want to save your life, then don't do it, just watch. So this is where we left that rock, and we're continuing, or we're going back rather, back on the trail, back to the truck, and taking time to look at things as we do. If you do plan to come to Trinidad on some sort of hike or trail or whatever, this is the kind of vegetation and look you can expect. Sometimes the path is not so clear as this. It could be a lot more bushy and not so well defined. Some paths could be really narrow or not there at all. Sometimes if a path has not been traversed for a long time, you would really need to go with a guide. You should always go with a guide anyway, because even in the news some weeks back, a hiking crew went and one person got left behind and they just couldn't find their way out, and I think it was one of the hunter association or some other group of people had to go and look for the person, and they stayed by a waterfall or something like that, as the story goes. But it is easy to get lost, and this is just a short hike. I mean, it's pretty straightforward from the road to the rock and back. But in other parts of Trinidad, the jungle can be thick, and notice I said thick and not thick like they like to say here. They don't pronounce the TH. So the jungle could be thick and you would find yourself lost quickly if you don't know what you're doing. And you don't want to be lost in these jungles. Sometimes you don't, even if you had your cell phone, you may not have coverage and you may not be able to communicate. But this is the kind of vegetation you can look forward to. So I hope you enjoyed our little hike today. It's a welcome change from my video of yesterday, which was about the rioting in Port of Spain by a few people. And I'd like to thank all your comments, all the people that commented. Very good points, both for and against stability in Trinidad, whether Trinidad is stable or unstable. Funny thing is, when I came out of here, I saw the police turning around. I thought they were probably checking my truck, but they were just turning around.